Today we set up in our Collingwood House studio and we're sitting down with Gemini. Thanks for joining us today, dude. It's lovely to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
Where does your touring experience extend to? Have you just played a lot around the UK or have you been further than that?
No, I've done 2 tours in New Zealand. I just did one in Australia and then New Zealand, and then I just came back from a Canadian tour. So I did a month in Canada. And now, you know, I've done gigs here and there in the UK and Europe, but now kind of in the next 3 months focusing on being in the UK and Europe a little bit to build up a little bit more here, like just trying to get used to what crowds are like as well is interesting.
And I guess looking at dubstep specifically, we've got a really big scene for dubstep in London, which is where I guess it really all started, like back, you know, nearly 10 years ago when Rinse were doing Forward and like it was just starting out. So it must have been very different to go to places like New Zealand and Canada and be playing dubstep. Yeah,
I mean it's kind of it's weird because I think it wouldn't work out there if it wasn't for the internet. I think YouTube is ultimately the tool that's you know making genres like dubstep really popular worldwide rather than just in London. You know, kind of, I think, you know, it was underground, wasn't it? So now it's kind of built up a lot more, and you know with UKF dubstep, you know, it's grown. The growth is phenomenal. When I was kind of fishing around UKF, I hadn't necessarily heard of it, but then, you know, Luke, the founder of UKF, you know, we had a bit of a chat, and he ended up putting the Hadouken Oxygen remix up. Got a good reaction, and then we put Blue up. It was quite early before the release, but you know, just to kind of put it out there, and I think it made a great introduction to getting me a bit kind of known in that scene. So what I like personally is when someone comes into the scene with something completely different and is not doing what everybody else is doing. I mean, that was kind of my goal, and you know, I pride myself on the fact that Blue was definitely one of the first tracks on UKF dubstep that was just completely different to everything else that had been uploaded. You know, it didn't necessarily have those womps and like massive LFOs in there.
Right. So something more melodic, perhaps.
Something more melodic is definitely the right word for it. I think, you know, after that, I think it definitely started getting a lot more melodic, UKF, and you know, a lot of people class it as commercial or poppy or whatever, but you know, UKF's kind of always had that vocal tip, but I think a lot changed back in November. It was when Blue was uploaded. Dubstep was changing at that point as well, so having Blue go up there at that moment in time was a great call.
And you said just now that dubstep is quite open in terms of people who want to make dubstep. If they have, you know, a certain level of production, they can kind of get into it. Do you think that means there's a risk that dubstep can become saturated, or has become saturated to a certain extent?
Yes.
With those bass wobbles and
yes and no. I think any genre can become saturated because, you know, there's always someone who wants to, you know, they want to be the next big thing. So you are going to get that, but I think at the same time, I think it's great that it is so open because it gives a lot of room to people like myself who just want to do something completely different. So, you know, I think dubstep's good. It's a brand new genre, so there's a long way to go with it.
Well, because people, I was talking to Goldie a few months ago and talking about drum and bass and how that got really big at the end of the 90s, and then suddenly people weren't interested, and we kind of talked about or speculated that a similar thing could happen to dubstep.
I think it's going to be different. I reckon, you know, from someone who's in the new generation, you know, I'm only 21. I think what I speculate is that I don't think dubstep's going to die out. I think it's gonna evolve rather than kind of, you know, because it's a lot more flexible than drum and bass. I think it's got there's that kind of, you can cross over with it. Dubstep, drum and bass, you can't really. I don't think there's that much crossover potential with it. Like, you know, what else can you really go to apart from halftime drum and bass? But with dubstep, you can kind of switch back to like house, and you know, a good example of this is Example's new single Midnight Run with Feed Me on the production there. You know, it's 135 BPM. It works as an electro house tune and it works as a dubstep tune just the same. So I think what we'll see is that, you know, the big talents in dubstep, I think they'll just continue to evolve into kind of electronic acts, and you know, dubstep will just be used as a platform or gateway to another genre. Really, I don't think it's going to ultimately go back underground. I don't think that's going to happen.
Are you working on any big releases now for next year, or is it touring, or what is it What is it you're working on
now it's kind of like I'm deciding how to. I mean, what I'm doing is just continuously writing. Like I never stop writing. At the end of the day, I need to just keep writing. So I'm always writing music, but I think, you know, when I've written music, then we decide what to do with it. But the plan will ultimately be to get an album out. That's the ultimate goal.
Right.
But in between, there'll definitely be some singles. So you know, that'll be the lead up to the album. I can't say when the singles will be. I don't know yet. But when I think I've got the right tracks, and when I'm happy with my vocals as well.
But from what you're saying, it sounds like it's quite standard to use auto-tune to get vocals for electronic tracks.
Yeah, but the way I've been kind of using auto-tune is kind of, I don't know, I've been making my voice not so, I don't know, it's more synthetic.
So you've been singing on it?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
So all my tracks have kind of been a bit synthetic, I think, and now I want to move away from that. I want to make it, you know, sound like a real voice rather as opposed to like a, I don't want to say robotic or...
Right. Do you sing outside of your music?
Sorry?
Do you sing as in, like, could you just like sing a song, for example, like with a guitar?
I guess so. Probably with a piano, but like...
Okay.
I sing every day. Like, it's really important that I do that. You know, I'm always trying to stretch my vocals to ultimately produce the album.
Are you a trained pianist? Is that how you got into music?
Not necessarily. I kind of went from playing, like, I used to play the keyboard, you know, back in the day when I was a kid, but then I kind of found this like profound love for piano, and but it was weird. I didn't discover that on a real piano. Like, although I had played on my parents' piano in their house, like it wasn't the same as playing a Steinway grand piano off Logic on a computer,
right?
Because I could really make it sound like, you know, a big concert hall piano. So I could create that with crystal clear sound on great monitors, and, you know, that's kind of how my love for live instruments came about, really. It's kind of weird, you know, like using, as opposed to an actual instrument, I've been using samples of an incredible instrument, you know, recorded at, you know, 100 different locations with a microphone, and that's, you know, it's great for me being able to do that without having to buy, like, you know, like a $100,000 piano.
Absolutely.
Is, you know,
it would be quite pimp though to have like a white grand piano, like sitting in the corner of your lounge.
I love a grand piano. I don't know about white, but I'd love to have a grand piano, man.
For the discerning man, the white piano.
Yeah.
Could you see yourself releasing music that is you and your piano, like you singing and playing the piano?
Yeah. Definitely.
Cool. I'd like to hear that.
This is what the album's going to be all about. It's not going to be, you know, just an electronic music album. It's going to be everything that I am as a person, you know, taking all my emotions and putting it into music. So, you know, I think it's going to be really interesting. Yeah, I've been listening to a very strange selection of music at the moment. I've been heavily blasting the new Justice album and Ed Sheeran's album.
Nice.
Finding it really weird, but I keep listening to a lot of old Calvin Harris. Really like his vibes with the kind of live / electro vibe thing. Yeah, it's just so cool.
Yeah, man. Acceptable in the 80s was like a soundtrack to university for me.
An amazing track. I've been listening to his first album, and I
love that low vocal as well. I've got love for you. If you were born in the 80s.
I like
the 80s.
How he kind of uses his voice. Like, it's very talented.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also been listening to Florence and the Machine as well.
Cool. She's got an amazing voice.
Yeah, people with amazing voices. So that's kind of what I'm aspiring to. One of my core values is just to produce real music, not just do what everyone else is doing, and try and make something really authentic that anybody can relate to, not just you know, a general audience at Fabric. You know, just a whatever, even like a schoolboy or like, you know, a parent or whatever. You know, if they like it, then they like it at the end of the day. But, you know, that's the ultimate goal, you know, just to have something that really doesn't necessarily have to move people, but, you know, it might mean something to someone out there, and, you know, that would make me very happy. So I think that's the plan now.